Can I start an online mixing and mastering service from my bedroom? Yes, you can. There's no reason you can't. You'll just face different challenges to someone who's in a room like this, for instance. Now, when you do if you provide a mixing service from a bedroom, look, who you're up against in terms of, you've got to win a client, you've got to win this client, that client, you've got to win clients, right? Then there's no reason you can't do this from your bedroom. Like, I know a lot of engineers who work from their bedroom. I know hundreds and hundreds and thousands of producers that work from the bedroom. If you're a producer, 100% bedroom producer, best way to be. Great to have your own little studio that's either, you know, end of the garden is brilliant. I feel that I've got really good studios end of the garden. But if I was a producer, I'd have a home studio. Of course, it's nothing better. Imagine waking up in the morning and just going to your home studio. It's brilliant. You don't have to travel anywhere. It's great. But as an engineer, it's very different. Let's say as a mastering engineer, if you're a mastering engineer and you're working from bedroom, you are the final point of kind of quality control when it comes to the actual end result, how it's going to sound. You are that quality control. I don't know if I was a producer, I don't know if I could trust someone who's working from a bedroom on the quality control of my song. I'm not sure I could do that. Call me a snob, I'm not, but I don't know if I could. But just because, you know, I know how much a room plays a huge factor in it. You know, I know how much, if I had a wardrobe over there, for instance, I know how much that would change the sound of the room. You know, often someone in a bedroom, they're not cranking the volume too loud, kind of thing. They're not getting they're not in a purpose-built room for mastering. So that is it all plays a big part. I mean, as a mastering engineer, it's gonna be difficult for you to put something in the bedroom and win clients, because look, you're up against, to try and win clients, you're up against studios like this one, you're up against studios like we have next door. You know, these are state-of-the-art studios, and we're very lucky to have these. But these are the people that you're up against. And if we're charging, let's say £50 for a master, let's say, if we're charging that sort of price for a master, it's like, how much have you got to charge as a bedroom producer to win the work? It's going to have its challenges. And I don't want this video to come across as kind of like, you know, we're better because we have a better studio, but it does play a huge part when it comes to a bedroom studio has imperfections. And you all know this. If you've ever worked in your own bedroom studio, which we all had, I had a bedroom studio, I loved it, but it had its imperfections. And we can all honestly and openly admit that our bedroom studios are not perfect. And when it comes to mastering studios must be perfect, because you are the final point of call when it comes to quality control. If something isn't perfect, if you've got, if your room, for instance, is, let's say, hyped in the low end, about, I don't know, plus 6 dB, you're getting that hyped sound. The problem you're going to have is every master you do is going to undercompensate 6 dB, because what you're hearing is 6 dB too loud. So what you're hearing in the low end, for instance, is your master at 6 dB too quiet. And that's not up for that's something that's not really up for debate. That is fact of what is going to happen. So these things are really important. And the problems that you're going to face as a bedroom producer is that you're up against someone who's got a state-of-the-art studio. You're directly competing with someone like that. So it's going to be very difficult when it comes to, look, here's one thing I'll say is that if you think for 1 minute that just being a good engineer is going to get you work, right? You could be the best engineer in the world. You ain't going to get all the work. You ain't going to get a mass amount of work, right? Just by being good. You've got to have all sorts of attributes. You've got to be be good at what you do. You've got to have a great looking studio that attracts clients. you have to have some sort of online presence. I mean, you don't have to, but it's it massively works in your favor, to win clients over by having a kind of showing them your kind of studios, showing them pictures of stuff. It sells you as a studio. It sells you, and if you had a picture of your studio, and then there was a picture of your bed in the picture, it's like it's very difficult to sell that as a professional service from a mixing and like a mastering kind of standpoint. As a producer, you'll get away with that because 9 times out of 10 producers are producing, even more than that actually, probably 99% of producers are working from their bedroom. So it is possible to be to set up an online mixing and mastering service that is based in your bedroom. There's no reason you can't. You're just going to face problems that other people don't, who have like a studio like this, and that is the honest truth. It's going to come down to the main the main thing. It's going to come down to is how good your room sounds, and a purpose-built studio for the purpose of mixing and mastering sounds a lot better than one that is just put into a studio that is just put into a bedroom. And yeah, that's, look, I wish everyone the best of luck when it comes to starting a mix and mastering company and running it out of your bedroom. Best of luck with it. It's just going to be it's going to be a lot more difficult than someone who has a studio that's purpose built for it. Now, here's the other thing is that when you run a mix and mastering studio from your bedroom, you're cutting off all the overheads. So you actually have an advantage in that regards over someone like me who's starting with a studio. I would have a lot more overheads. I've got building costs and all this sort of stuff. I've got another set of gas and electric and rates to pay, whereas you kind of roll it all into your house expenses. So there's one thing. It is better to start, if you can start at home and then move on to that, because you cut all the overheads. Now, what that means for you as an engineer and as a business is that because you don't have the overheads, you either make more profit or you can go in lower because you don't have those overheads. It's like us, because we own our building, because we own this and it's all paid up, we own every piece of equipment, we are the CEOs, the directors, whatever, we own everything. Because we own everything, we're able to provide our clients a really good rate. Whereas other studios, they don't own their building. They're paying a rent on their building, or they've got a massive mortgage on their building. They don't own their equipment. The engineers are brought into the studios to then rent those studios and be in those studios. They don't own that equipment either. They're renting it off of the directors and the company owners. Then there's a receptionist on the desk who has to have a cut. Everybody takes a cut. By the time it gets down to the engineer, he's taking a very small piece of the pie. Now, what ends up happening there is you have massive overheads. So the service is you got to pay. Now, you got to pay £150, £100 for a master. Is the master any different to here? No. If anything, it's lesser quality in my opinion. No, that's just my opinion. But my opinion and a lot of others, but that's the beauty of having your own space. Now, I know myself because all right, it's not a bedroom, but I have my own building where I've got lots of studios built into it, and I know the difference of me owning that building and owning everything in here compared to if I didn't. Now, I would have to charge twice as much if I didn't own everything. Now, some people say to me, well, Paul, why don't you charge twice as much and then you'll just make more money? Well, yeah, okay. But then the problem I've got is that then I'm alienating the people that are, who don't want to spend £100 a master. don't make £100 per track on their releases, and they're doing it more as a hobbyist. Now, I can charge them 50 quid, for instance. Bang, there you go, £50. Everyone can afford, or most people can afford, £50 for a master and get the best quality sound. But whereas £100 to £200 is stretching it for a lot of people, it really is, especially when they're not making that money back straight away off of their releases, for instance. So these are the things that, these are the issues that you will face. But look, here's the other thing. Here's one last thing to end the video with, is if you do put a mixing and mastering studio into your bedroom, angle the pictures so that no one needs to know it's a bedroom. People. There's an old saying in kind of, I guess, in business, where dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And by that, what I mean is take pictures of your studio, dress it up like it's a state-of-the-art studio, right? Dress it up from this angle so that from here, you don't get the window in, right? You don't get, close the curtains so there's no natural light. Because no professional studio has windows, right? No professional mastering studio has windows, kind of thing. It's a closed room. We're like vampires. We never see the light. There's no light comes in, things like that. So close the curtains. Take the natural light out. Get a kind of artificial light. Things like that. Make the vibe that it is a professional studio. Like, who's to say? I mean, obviously it's not, because I show the whole of my room. But like, imagine if this was the backdrop for this, right? So imagine if that was the backdrop of a bedroom studio. Over there's a bed and a wardrobe, right? There's not, trust me. But imagine if there was, you wouldn't know any different, because all you see is this. So taking those pictures from the right angles, and generally just kind of not faking it. You're not faking it, but you're just not telling people that it's a bedroom. Because as soon as people, especially from the mastering world, if they're coming to you for mastering, as soon as they see that you're working from a bedroom, it will become a lesser service, and it will become a lesser product. And I think that is natural of how a client would look at it. I know I would look at it that way. If I was a producer, I would want to work with a studio that has something I don't have. It's like, that's the reason why studios, mastering engineers who just use plugins, for instance, they don't do as well as mastering engineers who use analog, because the simple fact there is that by using this sort of analog stuff, this is the unobtainable. Like a lull limiter there, £9,000. Most people, like 99.9% of people, will look at that and go, well, I ain't spending £9,000 on a limiter, so I'll go to Paul, because Paul's got £9,000 limiter and it sounds brilliant. So these little things, you have something that's unattainable to everyone else. Whereas if you were a bedroom mastering engineer who was using plugins, you are in exactly the same boat as the producer. The producer could have potentially, if you take ability out of the equation, that producer and that mastering engineer using exactly the same stuff can achieve exactly the same sound. The reason services like this, for instance myself, achieve a different sound that's let's say superior, is because of the equipment that we use, the room that we work in, the speakers that we use, the Trinnov optimization, the fact that what we hear is bang on perfect. So yeah, you are going to face challenges as a bedroom mixing or mastering engineer, but you're also going to have benefits. The benefits being the overheads.